Peace. It's very early. Still pitch dark out. Getting ready for work. I cook. Um, Sometimes when I have the necklace inside the shirt at a distance, or what do I look like? I look like a Catholic priest. But this is the uniform. I enjoy cooking, and excuse me for the sucking on candy, cough drops. Had the flu last week, week before, and there's still like a lingering raspiness, sore throat, sinus thing going on. So please excuse me for the clunking. Um, Again, everything that seems to proceed from me at this point is a reflection of my near-death experience, which occurred in August last year, so a year and a couple of months ago. And there was leading into the near-death experience. I had a heart, I had a heart attack. My heart stopped. My heart stopped twice. My breathing stopped twice. I was clinically dead twice. And I had what many people would refer to as a near-death experience. And there were uh, wonderfully sublime aspects to it, and there was other aspects to it that were painful, painful, uh, not necessarily per se in the near-death experience, but prior to it. And what I'm referring to is there was that period of time when I had gotten into the hospital, into the emergency room, and the frenetic activity going on around me. It was interesting because um, having worked in the emergency department in my for part of my career, I was an EMT and I worked in the emergency room, and it was interesting. It was an interesting observation that I made, um, where people, when I was working there, would come in complaining of chest pain, having a heart attack, whatever, and it's you don't know what you don't know until you know, and oftentimes people came in with anxiety attacks, and it was not until that moment where they'd come in with an anxiety attack thinking or believing that they were having a heart attack. Okay, and we're going to get you hooked up on the EKG machine and figure out what's going on. And inevitably, a lot of times, folks have, you read the EKG and you go, you're not having a heart attack. You might be having you're having a reaction, you're having an anxiety attack, et cetera, whatever. But those occasions where somebody came in and they complained that they thought they were having a heart attack, and okay, you get them on the EKG machine, and that moment you look at the tape and you go, no, they're having a heart attack, and it's all hands on deck. And the energy instantaneously becomes frenetic. Um, as a nurse, as a doctor, as an EMT aide to the nurses and doctors, it's like, yep, this is a real one, guys. This is a real one. This isn't an anxiety attack or something else. And I remember that moment that um, I remember that moment after they had gotten me hooked up on the EKG, and they realized the severity, not just that I was having a heart attack, but the severity of the heart attack that I was having. And I knew what was going on. I did. I had my own medical experience and I knew what was going on. But in that moment of realization, acceptance about what was going on, in that moment, you have that instantaneous kind of like flash before your eyes and what's important and what's not. And I have a very small circle of friends, and I'm thinking of two individuals in particular that came rushing into my awareness as I was laying there on the gurney, and it was like an oh shit moment. It was just uh, catastrophic disappointment, that I was dying, and I felt in that moment that I hadn't uh, had an opportunity to experience certain things in my life. And the doctor had come in. He's like, you're dying. You know, what can we do? What are we going to do? You have some choices to make. But that feeling or sense, and again, catastrophic disappointment for an instant. And as I had mentioned in my when I shared about my near-death experience in detail, I made reference to a peace that came over me, the peace that surpasses our own understanding, and a resolution and acceptance and an actual welcoming of death. Everything was okay, you know. But what that painful experience, that emotionally, spiritually painful experience, taught me was how much love and affection, respect and appreciation and gratitude I had for the experience of, again, my circle's very small, but all of those emotions that I had specifically about those two individuals, and the experiences that I was allowed to share and experience, and how those relationships, those friendships tested me. And this was all very instantaneous. It came flooding in. Some of us like to use that word download. It was like a download. But how those two relationships in particular challenged my integrity, challenged my character. And we have this idea like, oh, it sounds like a toxic. Absolutely, it wasn't a toxic relationship. It was just the opposite. In these two particular relationships, they afforded me mirrors about my thoughts and my perceptions, my beliefs, and who's Scott? Am I going to continue to stand in my own integrity, or do I need to make adjustments to the way I perceive things and perceive people? And as time progressed through those relationships, culminating in the heart attack and reflecting instantaneously on those two particular relationships, and coming to the realization that those challenges or tests that I experienced within myself um, showed me my capacity to love, to be compassionate, to be grateful, to have an outlet uh, for loving my friends, and to learn how to receive love from my friends. But it was painful, that moment, that oh shit moment. um and I can't help but reflect, and it was Khalil Gibran, and I just absolutely um love and resonate so much, in particular Khalil Gibran, the prophet. And I can't remember from what particular poem or part of that the prophet this comes from, but when the depth of our pain becomes the height of our joy, and in that moment, the pain of departing from my friends instantaneously made me realize just how much I loved, respected, appreciated. Um, all of that just came flooding in. And how many times, during the course of our lives, um, when we experience pain, you have a headache, you take an aspirin, kind of, and how many times when we're experiencing those painful emotions, we don't want to feel that pain, but it's a messenger. It's a messenger. That pain is a messenger, whether it be physical pain, like a heart attack, like Scott, maybe you should slow down, or an emotional pain, um, coming to the realization of how much love and respect we have um, for people in our lives, um, or our perceptions, how we perceive things, and coming to like, wow, my perception, wow, I thought a certain way, but I didn't realize I could feel this depth, this capacity. Like, wow, it was just, and in that moment, realizing the capacity, my own capacity, um, to love. And it's, there, I don't want to give anything away. I want to respect, um, in those moments when we are just devastated, when we're just devastated by something, um, betrayal, loss, death, what I experienced during my near death experience when I was out of body. And I had my life review and all these other amazing, sublime experiences, was coming to the realization that I was never held so close and so warmly, and I was never loved as deeply as when I was experiencing those catastrophically painful moments in my life. And coming to the realization that there are energies, essences, guides, entities that have our best interest at heart. And we might think in our human existence, we're praying for comfort, or we're praying comfort for others. Um, why does this hurt so bad? Why, And I assure you that after experiencing that near-death experience, and the level of compassion that was shown to me, the depth and quality of the love that I experienced, not only in the near-death experience, but over the course of my life, realizing that pain, like we experience pain in this human form, can only be experienced in this human form. And the relief that we pray for, the guidance that we pray for, the comfort and the ease, help me through this. What's happening? The confusion, the chaos, the whirlwind of a devastating, catastrophic moment. And this is the place where you work that stuff out, and that we are so held, but the pain of being human and having these human experiences is so great that that love that is being expressed to us from perhaps other people through prayer and intention and meditation, or from these guides, these entities that have our best interest at heart, and they're there for us all the time. Even with, that's how painful it is to be a human. That's how painful it is, because we're surrounded by that love. But in that painful experience, the depth of our pain, realizing our capacity for love, it wouldn't hurt that bad. It wouldn't hurt that bad if I didn't love this person, this place, this thing. If I didn't love it so much, it wouldn't hurt so bad. That moment of clarity where you realize, and I love Rumi as well, the poet Rumi, Rumi. And there's another quote, another poem, the wound is where the light enters you, that place that we're just crushed. And that's the place where, in that moment of clarity, we realize that we, our own capacity for love, and that we were and are loved constantly. That doesn't come and go. It's a constant. We just can't always see, feel, and in this human vessel, we can't feel it. I know, I'm going to leave it right there. And, the wound is the place where the light enters. The wound is the place where the light enters. And that pain that we experience sometimes, those catastrophically painful times in our life, if we can just shift our perception about the pain just a little bit, and realize that pain, no matter how deep and hurtful it may seem, that it's showing us the capacity of how much we ourselves as individuals have grown in love, and loving actively, loving with our intention, loving with our heart, loving with our being. Peace that surpasses all understanding. If you're having a hard time right now, you're being held. There's people, and you're surrounded. You're surrounded. Peace.